Good morning. Feeling so good from the inside out. Better than your morning would feel without. In this simulation of ours in which we die every 5 minutes, but that timer is reset with a breath, are you ready for the first podcast in 3D? Are you ready to feel so good? To feel better in that body of yours? To feel better in life, objectively? How's that even possible? With the help of your only no-nonsense podcast brought to you through the Best Feeling Network and the help of your own body from the inside out, as we use a little bit of body magic tricks. Not really doing much today, but feeling so good, doing a little body magic tricks, just moving our self-awareness around like a muscle and letting our body reward us for it. Reward us how? By feeling so good from the inside out. Hello, welcome. As we stretch our self-awareness like a muscle, let's be a little bit self-aware. Where are we right now? Whether you are live with us today on YouTube, thank you for joining us live on YouTube. Come in, have a seat. And or if you are in a VOD, guess what? Well, right now it is Tuesday, October 12th, 2021, 5:41 a.m. And since it is a Tuesday, you know that on Pagawan, it is a True Love Tuesday. Here on Pagawan, as we discuss misconceptions about ourselves brought to us through our society, or ourselves sometimes, or our families and friends and foes sometimes. But will we just leave you with some scary words and just ditch you, or will we actually leave you with some actionable tasks, some challenges to actually shift our self-awareness? Will we just be leaving you with some scary words, or actually improving or providing you with some spiritual armor with actionable body awareness? Specific body awareness. Say 5 nice things to yourself today. No. Specifically. As in this reality of ours, this simulation of ours, in which we specifically die every 5 minutes, but that timer is reset with a breath. I specifically challenge you to pretend that there is a candle, specifically a flame, in front of every human being's lips. In their imagination, they're imagining a flame, a candle lit in front of their lips that they're trying to not put out. And specifically trying to not breathe, not trying to exhale or inhale as the breathing happens naturally. Simply placing their awareness, each and every individual, onto a candle that is in front of their lips, in which they're trying to not put out. And they're not thinking about the usual machinations of breathing. They're not thinking about exhaling or inhaling. But I challenge you to remember that, and I challenge you to perceive every person as, in their imagination, they're pretending there's a candle in front of their lips, including yourself. That each being is trying to not put out, as it's not thinking about exhaling or not inhaling, but simply trying to not put this candle out. And would society have us think that there is no candle there? Well, of course, as we cannot see as there is a candle, we cannot see a candle with our eyes. However, don't just take my word for it. How does it feel for you from the inside out to pretend that not just you, but also you, there's just a candle flickering in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out? And you're not thinking about inhaling, and you're not thinking about exhaling. As this candle just flickers there, and you allow it to. You give yourself permission to allow the candle to flicker in front of your lips. And are we remembering that the tips of our tongues want to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth? And notice how far of the body that feels. And of course, the candle still is being allowed to flicker in front of the lips without exhaling or without inhaling, but reminding ourselves that the tips of our tongues, say it with me, want to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth. Again, say it with me, want to be anchored. Wants to be anchored. to the back of the bottom front teeth. The incisors, if you will. And how does that feel for you? As we are just leaving you with some scary words or actually actionable breathing instructions. Not even to breathe in and out, but rather to induce the proper breathing by pretending there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out. Leave the swallowing muscles alone always at all times. You should never be consciously using your swallowing muscles. In order to get that great deep breath, not focusing on where the air is, but rather the movements that the body encourages when we place into our awareness the candles. I challenge you to hold that controller with me properly in this simulation of ours in which we die every 5 minutes, but that timer is reset with a breath. I challenge you to hold that controller properly with me by pretending there is that candle in front of everybody's lips. And that the tips of our tongues wants to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth, aka the bottom incisors. And how does that feel for you? Not thinking about or not focusing the attention on the air, but rather the movements of the body. If it feels foreign, or if it feels new, if it feels familiar, if it feels foreign, that's something to take note of. But it's not about performance, but rather discovery. So even if there is permission denied to place awareness on the tip of the tongue being anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth, that might be something to note as well, as our bodies are always telling us everything they need to know, everything we need to know with tone. With tone, with how we feel about our bodies, with the tone that our body is emitting to us. Tone is everything on True Love Tuesday here on Go On. We hope that we will see you right back here in a short minute as we discuss how tone is everything. You can say infinite words, and you can also say the same word as someone else, and yet have a totally different interpretation of what was being said, of the meaning of what was said. On True Love Tuesday, we discuss how tone is everything as we try to save our true love with some truth without hatred, as we know love is. World peace through individual inner peace. We'll be right back. My name is Herbie, and Peg One. Only if you remember that the back 1/3 of the tongue is vertical. Good morning, everybody. Be right back. always remember that you sit onto your rainbow arches, not on your legs. Nope. Your weight is delivered down the front of the spine, the weight-bearing portion of the spine, and then bows out evenly into what we would call the rainbow arches into the sitting surface. And your legs are not sat upon, but rather jut out from either side of the pelvis bone, basically floating as the rainbow arches take the weight of the body. Have you been having a hard time being understood lately? Whether that be through your lover, whether that be through your friends, whether that be through your parents, whether that be through yourself. Do we find ourselves having a hard time being understood or feeling that we are being understood in the world that we have today? Why might that be? Are we being too attached to words? Why? Why would we be overly attached to words? Well, aren't they fascinating, these words? Taught to us at such a young age, rewarded to us, or rewarded when we expand our vocabulary by the school system, by our peers, by the world, artists, historians, somewhat impressed by our ability to expand our vocabulary, expand our ability to, or expand our reach over different words. But isn't tone everything? Instead of words, aren't words simply the tip of the iceberg? Why? Well, at any point in time, aren't there an infinity amount of words that you can say? Wherever you are, whenever thou art, whether you are hanging with your friends right now, whether we're chilling in the dark, or whether we are out in the sun throwing frisbee at the park. Wherever you are you just enjoying a drink? Are you eating some food? Whatever you are doing. Can't you say dang near anything, but only one word can only come out at a time? You can conceive or perceive to say any words, an infinity amount of words and phrases at any point in time, but we can only squeeze out one at a time through our body. Through what we're saying, not just for ourselves, but for other people to understand us. So isn't tone everything? Perby, tone as in the note? As in the musical tone of what is being said? Possibly. But not just that. Also timing, what kind of words were said, in relation to what. Always room for more interpretation. These words as they are said. When someone says, right? And you answer back with, right. Depending on who you are and what your spirit is with this person, the context with this person, aka the tone in which these messages are being said, saying right could be an agreement because your spirit with this person could be in that you are trying to be agreeable with them. You could be saying right as though you are simply entertaining their idea and wanting to see them forward, but not necessarily agreeing with them. However, you can also be saying right as in the spirit of you yourself and all your values agree with what is happening right now, and so it is a reflection of you and not a reflection of simply the spirit of wanting to be agreeable with this person. Sometimes we agree because we want the conversation to continue going, and we're not saying that we necessarily agree with the entire idea, but rather what is most recently said, possibly. So with that one word, how are we to know, with that one singular word, how are we to know what is actually meant What is actually meant by this person's decision to speak that specific word? How do we know what is meant? Well, tone. Because there's only one word being said, right? Right. Is he being sarcastic? Is he agreeing sincerely? Is he mocking him? Is he giving him the devil's advocate? Is he giving him a bouncing board, a soundboard, so that he can hear what it sounds like for someone to agree with the idea, so that they can continue this idea? Sometimes we have to speak out our ideas for us to fully realize them. Wink, wink. Tone is everything. Not just the singing tone, but is there tone that is possibly introduced by timing? By specific wordage? By specific wording? As you can agree with someone in very many different ways? Right? True? Acknowledged? Agreed? Sounds good? The choices also become part of the tone, can't they? And so isn't tone everything when we are trying to seek to understand one another? On True Love Tuesday, as we know that true love is the truth without hatred, isn't tone everything? As we are trying to seek the truth of what people are intending to imply, as we can only say one word at a time, and yet our brains, our hearts, our minds, our souls, our spirits are so complex. Trying to squeeze out all of the meaning from the inside, but can only say one word at a time. So finite. So limited by these one words at a time. And so tone is everything. Words are just words, as we said on one of the Freedom Fridays 2 weeks ago. Words are just words. Tone is everything. To understand the actual meaning of what is actually wanting to be intended into the world by this specific person, one must understand tone is everything. The specific word itself, well, they say that words are the devil's playground. One can twist a word, one can look at a word in many different contexts depending on what the spirit of the receiver is. And so tone is everything in order to actually ascertain the actual meaning of what the sender of this message was intending. Unless you are trying to intentionally misinterpret their message. How do we not misinterpret the message? Prioritize and acknowledge that tone is everything over the words. Meaning context matters. Timing matters. Audience matters. Tone matters. As all of these culminate to describe a tone. We can describe it in many other words. Many different words. One of the ways to understand it, the meaning behind what we're actually discussing here, as we're always remembering to allow all of these words to go in one ear and out the other. Remember, friends, tone is everything. And as you know, as we're remembering to remember all these words to go in one ear and out the other, and tone is everything, and not paying attention to the individual objects and words, we know that even when we say tone is everything, the literal word tone does not lock our meaning down. As we as human beings react to meaning, not object, we react to tone, not the specific words that are being said. And we can fit a bunch of things under this umbrella of tone, can't we? Not just musical tone, but sometimes the tone in which they are saying it, correct. Sometimes literally the vocal tone will matter. Well, all the times the tone matters, but sometimes the vocal tone is a key point. Sometimes the length of the tone matters. How much volume, the timing of the tone. Whether it's a reaction or it's a proactive situation can affect the tone of a message. But isn't tone everything? Okay. 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 Oh. Okay. Tone matters. Tone is everything. Otherwise, you have the same word being said 30 times, no meaning out of any of it. What is meaning? What the message sender is intending to imply. What you can learn about a person. What is meaning? What is tone? Isn't tone everything, as we can say the same word and come out with no different understanding of a human spirit unless we have tone? Tone? Tone. Unless we have tone. Unless we pay attention to tone. The words matter, more like tip of the iceberg, right? If we're truly looking and seeking to understand truth without hatred, seeking to understand what this being is truly trying to emote to the world. Isn't tone everything? To learn the most truth, to get closer to the most authentic truth. Isn't tone everything? Here on True Love Tuesday. We'll be right back. My name is Herbie and this is Pal Go On. We'll be right back for the second half of the show. Only if you remember that the tip of the tongue wants to be anchored to the back of the bottom front. Tone is everything. We'll be right back. Say it with me. The weight-bearing portion of the spine is the front. The weight-bearing portion of the spine is the front. The weight-bearing portion of the spine is the front. One more time, say it with me. The weight-bearing portion of the spine is the front. Good. Maybe you have a child. Maybe you have a son or daughter. And maybe you have a parent or something. Or say maybe you have a friend or a relative that we feel like we are having a hard time being understood by. Say you have a relative or a son or daughter in which you have a hard time being understood by. We say the same words and they don't seem to be listening. We say the same words: go, clean, listen. Saying the same word every time. And yet we're able to understand that they are continuously getting more frustrated, as tone is everything, right? Tone is indeed everything. Though we might say, I believe in you, no matter what, because we are so influential, we cannot hide because we are so influential. Our tone is everything. Meaning, if our bodies and the tone that we have is not matching up to the idea of I believe in you, if we do not believe in them first, our voice, our tone will betray us. And so, say we get more frustrated as we continuously tell people that we love them, or that we believe them, or that we believe in them, and find ourselves continuously more frustrated as that person feels less and less believed in, less and less loved by us. And we start to question why. And we start to wonder why. And we start to hurt because why? Why don't they accept this love that I'm professing? Tone is everything. Words are just words, as we know here on Palgo 1. Tone is everything. Should we say, I believe in you, I love you, you can do it, you are smart, you shall overcome? It is not good enough to simply say the words, for tone is everything. It shows in how you say it, it shows in when you say it, it shows in how often you feel the need to say it. If you truly believe in someone that they can do it, would you truly be checking in on them all the time? Is that part of the tone? Or does truly believing in someone look like leaving them alone and letting them be free to fail on their own? Is truly believing in someone giving them freedom from even your emotions regarding them? Is our inability to let go sometimes the tone itself? Setting the tone of which how we feel about our child, our son or daughter, our mother, our father. Is our inability to let them sink on their own revealing our tone of actually believing them to be weak without us, of actually believing ourselves to be better than others by mistake? No one truly believes this or wants to believe that, wants to believe that they are this arrogant son of a gun who no one is better than. And yet, doesn't that tone reveal to us that we believe that of ourselves when we do not believe that others can overcome what we know that we can overcome? Isn't tone everything? You can do it, but isn't tone everything? And so when we are frustrated and potentially accidentally projecting our frustrations out to the world, don't we accidentally project a tone in which we do not agree with? Do we not damage our ability to communicate the proper message to the world when we cannot regulate ourselves properly, when we do not have a strong relationship with our bodies, with God, not the sky God thing, but this design part of our body that gives us the ability to overcome all internal suffering so that we are not accidentally projecting frustration to the outside world? Because tone is everything, especially to the people around you whom you love, whom you keep around you, who you can't hide from. Tone is everything. Tone is everything. Because we say so few words compared to how much we feel and think throughout life. So tone must be everything, or no one will understand anything, because we say so few words compared to what we feel and believe and think inside of our bodies. So in order for us to understand each other, tone is everything. We look at everything, not just the words. We look at the timing of the words, when the words are said, what words they said in return to words that we said, what words we said in return to words that they said. Tone is everything. Which words did they choose to say now? Which words did they choose to say here? How did they choose to say those words? Through what medium did they send those words through? Vocally? Through a text? Through email? Tone is everything. Tone is everything. In order for us to understand each other, tone is everything. And so when we have a child, you have a son or daughter, and we think that we are guiding them properly by saying the proper words to do your work. I believe in you. You can do it. But by not focusing on ourselves first, our own frustration in our lives, or anger in our lives, or resentment that we have even for ourselves in our lives comes out in our tone. And because tone is everything, people will latch onto the tone. Even if we are intending to say something like, I believe in you, you can do it, because our bodies are feeling about ourselves, we cannot do it, we don't believe in ourselves. The tone that we are projecting to other people is, you cannot do it, you will not overcome, because that's how we feel on the inside, and we will project that tone, and tone is everything. So that's the message they will receive. How do we prevent that from happening? Well, we got to not feel like that about ourselves. How do we do that? By having a strong connection with God, this ability to feel better at all times. And what is that? By holding the candle in our awareness in front of our lips, and in everybody's lips that we're trying to not put out, each of us. Why? To create a stronger relationship with the way our body wants to align, and not the way their body looks like it wants to align, but how it wants to be aligned. As in, the tip of your tongue wants to be anchored to the back, the bottom, front teeth. Don't just take my word for it, but how does that feel for you? And so when we have a stronger connection with when we have a stronger relationship with ourselves, do we not have a more peaceful relationship with ourselves, a happier, a more free relationship with ourselves? And so when we speak to others, is our tone not more a stronger, peaceful, and more authentic, and happier, and more free tone? And isn't tone everything? And if it's a more authentic tone, as tone is everything, will we not have a more satisfied, authentic experience in life as the world begins to react to what we are attempting to authentically project onto the world? By having a stronger relationship with ourselves, to feel at peace when we breathe, so that we are not projecting frustration, but rather projecting truth and love. We'll be right back. On Pal only if you remember that the back 1/3 of your tongue is vertical, and that's the truth. And how does that feel for you? We'll be right back, feeling so good objectively. Padawan. which we think we are constructed. We do indeed move in the way in which we think we are constructed. So did we ask ourselves if we thought our tongues were constructed horizontally, as in forward and backwards, as in left and right, as in not up and as in not vertical, up and down? How did we perceive our bodies as being? How did we think that our tongues were structured like? How did we think we were supposed to receive words and language? Did we think that tone was everything? Did we intuit? Did we possibly have subconsciously agreed with the idea that we react to meaning, not object? Tone. The meaning behind the words. The tone of the message. As you can only read, digest, speak one word at a time. So much meaning packed into the word. We can only read one word at a time. Only speak one word at a time. And yet so much meaning is being transpired, what's the word we're looking for? Transposed, right? Into the world, into the ether. So much meaning from a singular word. Thanks. Thanks. Waiting a long time. Thanks. Or versus saying thanks right away. Thanks. Someone gives you something, thanks. Someone gives you something. Thanks. Tone is everything. Same word, tone is everything. In order to understand truth, in order to understand a situation, in order to understand the meaning behind anybody's actions, to understand the truth of a human being, tone is everything. To understand the human soul, tone is everything. To understand art, tone is everything. To understand history, tone is everything. Tone is everything. How are they speaking about this subject? With what kind of grandiosity? Are they being kind? Are they being spicy? Is it late? Is it immediate? Is it prior? Was it premeditated? Tone is everything. The tip of the iceberg most often tends to just be the words. Words being the different ways in which we affect the tone. As tone is everything. Tone is everything to understand the human spirit. Anything about the human spirit, wherever you are, whenever thou art. Have you eaten breakfast today? Have you given yourself a hug today? Have you remembered that the tip of your tongue wants to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth today? And how does that feel for you? As we are stretching our self-awareness every day like a gosh darn muscle. Like a gosh darn muscle. Is it sunny outside? Is the sun just starting to wake up outside? Are you feeling kind of sleepy, or did you get 8 hours of sleep? Did you hang out with some friends recently, whether in person or even on a stream? How have you been feeling lately? Have you been able to observe your sense of self? Have you noticed a shift in tone in yourself when speaking to other people, when speaking to yourself, when speaking to specific people? Have we often found ourselves abusing the existence of tone and message? Have we found ourselves sometimes focusing on the object, the words, when it's advantageous to us, to distract us from the meaning of what is actually being said, to distract them from the meaning of what is being said? Have we found ourselves doing that ever? What is our relationship with that? What is our relationship with pretending that there's a candle in front of everybody's lips that we're each trying to not put out? What is our relationship with the way that we observe our body when that happens, when we put that into our awareness? When we pretend that there's a candle in front of everybody's lips, every being's lips that they are individually trying to not put out, as they're not thinking about exhaling or inhaling, does our body give ourselves permission to observe itself in a different way? What does your body give itself permission to do when you observe it, when you observe your sense of self as you pretend there's a candle in front of everyone's lips that you're trying not to put out? Sense of self as in how your right arm feels different than your left arm, how your left arm might feel different than your right arm, where the idea of getting off the right side of the bed or the wrong side of the bed, where that might be housed in your sense of self. How you notice all those things. Your sense of relationship to yourself, your sense of balance with itself. As we are not a completely separate parts, like a action figure, and yet we are not just a potato sack of just one big amoeba object, but rather something in the middle. Our whole body pulling on itself. Be right back to observe our sense of self at the height of the show. Talking about tone is everything, guys. Please remember that the tips of everybody's tongue wants to be anchored to the back of the bottom front. Teeth, that's the back of the bottom incisors. And we'll be right back here at Pago 1. Don't sit on your legs, ever. How are you feeling the front of your shins right now? Remember that the weight of the body does not want to be delivered down the back of your lower legs, the calves. The fleshy, impressive calves which cannot hold any weight but yet are impressive but should feel draped over and hung on top of the front of the shins. How does that feel for you? What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. No more. Love, 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 love. Love is like a something peaceful and deep. Your love is like a river flowing over me. Is that a song? It's gotta be a song, right? True Love Tuesdays. Welcome back to another True Love Tuesday. We are finally winding down here towards the end of this show. It is 6:28 a.m. Stretching our self-awareness like a muscle every weekday morning. Starting off with a date and time. Where are you right now? Because right here it is Tuesday, October 12th, 2021, 6:28 a.m. It is another True Love Tuesday, where we are on Padawan always discussing misconceptions brought onto us about ourselves by society and breaking them down and feeling so good for it. Specifically on True Love Tuesday, focusing on the relationship between the two sexies, which includes parents and children, of course. Is what are we here to do? Create some new great children. We'll create some new lives. Create some great amazing times. Not just for them, but for ourselves as we see ourselves anew with every new child. Level up, level up, level up. Tone is everything. Say you have a child. Say you have a child wherever you are. Hey little children. Whether you are hanging out with a beer, whether you are hanging out with actually your children. Say you have a child. Tone is everything. How can we make sure that the proper tone is being emitted to our desired person? How can we be sure that the tone that we are emitting is closest to the authentic tone in which we wanted to emit? When we ourselves are always so bogged down with different problems and needs in which our bodies are asking for attention. How do we ensure that the proper tone or an authentic tone is the one being received? Two ways, my friend. One must become aware of the fact that tone is everything. Tone is everything. Tone is everything. To understand the truth about a situation, tone is everything. It would, if tone wasn't everything, it would kind of be like that's kind of like saying that for the flavor of curry that spices don't matter, but of course the spices matter. Tone is everything to understand the dish. Tone is everything to understand the meaning. Tone is everything to understand the world. Tone is everything to understand a human being. The specific words that we say, we are not robots, but even then, what is the tone of that, and why are they saying that tone? As human beings are reacting to meaning and not object, right? Always reacting to meaning faster than object. You amazing window to this godlike experience you are. You amazing, beautiful creature, you. Always establishing meaning and metaphor without even trying or latching onto meaning and reacting to meaning before object. You crazy being, you. And that crazy being body of yours. Tone is everything. Meaning is everything. The words themselves, individual little tips of the glaciers, as meaning is everything. Tone is everything. The amount of words to describe how someone is feeling or what they're thinking right now at this minute, at this instant, not even physically possible, for we are feeling and understanding different layers of consciousness at a time, simultaneously. But what we can grab are the meanings. We can grab the tone, as the tone suggests something about their current human condition, their human spirit, although their minds cannot express them with the amount of words that would completely be authentic to what is going on in their head. When we look at the meaning of these human beings and their needs and what we know about human needs, and how they change the human spirit by looking at ourselves. First and foremost, we can understand then through ourselves under other people. And through ourselves, we learn about other people. And through ourselves, we see that tone is everything. As when people speak words, we're not just speaking words and objects, we are communicating meaning. What is the point of speaking these words just to throw words, just to sound loud? No. Every word said and every word unsaid is a meaning. And so as we are trying to understand each other, as we are trying to understand the world and seeking meaning of what people are experiencing so we can understand the state of the world, as every person is like a tuning fork to what is happening around them. Always expressing through tone how they're feeling, what the meaning is behind their tone, how their body is feeling. How do we make sure that the proper authentic tone is always being emitted so that we do not feel disconnected from the moments passing by in our lives, but rather feel integrated and authentic and full-bodied? By taking care of the inner tone, by taking care of the self first. So the tone is always the authentic self and not a byproduct of trying to meet unmet needs in which we're afraid of not meeting. How do we affect that? By meeting our number one need in this virtual reality of ours in which we die every 5 minutes, but that timer is reset with a breath. Our number one need is our breath. I challenge you to pretend with me that there's a candle in front of every human being's lips, just flickering there. And as they don't inhale and then as they're not trying to exhale, they're just trying to not put this candle out. Our biggest need is breath, in which we die every 5 minutes. But that timer is reset with a breath. I challenge you to create the best tone as possible in whatever you do and whatever you emit to life today, to whomever you emit to, whomever you speak to, whomever you come in contact and influence, you amazing window to this godlike experience that you are, whomever you influence today. I challenge you to get that tone oh so satisfying, to feel so authentic, to feel so darn good in the moment, to feel so satisfied, to feel like nothing ever slips away, to feel so life-loving, to pretend there's a candle in front of everybody's lips that they're trying to not put out. Remember that the tip of the tongues want to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth, not just for you, but for everybody. And the back 1/3 of the tongue is vertical, up and down, up and down. As you satisfy their most primal and most immediate need to feel that we can overcome and meet any of our needs for ourselves in a timely fashion. How? By meeting our most important priority need. Hope you feel the front of your shins today when you breathe. My name is Herbie. This has been another True Love Tuesday. Tone is everything. But don't just take my word for it. How does that feel for you? I hope you make your way to some true love today. Feel so free and feel so good. This has been Herbie. This has been Padawan. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow for Warfare Wednesday. Bye-bye. Much love. Tone is everything. Fix your tone first. Thank you.